Hey y'all, I'm JamesWright, and welcome back to Wizards News. Today I want to talk about inventory management. Yay! Right? If you have played any RPG in the past, you know what inventory management is, because you have a certain amount of space that you can hold things in, but you always get more things than you have space for. So you have to figure out, what do you want to get rid of? What do you want to keep? What are you looking for? And once you understand the basics of what inventory you need and why you need it, then inventory management becomes a lot simpler. So today I want to look at my inventory and the way I do things, as well as a few other methodologies and tools that will help you control your inventory. Now I'm going to be looking at inventory management from two different points of view. Number one, there are people who boost their vault up way up there. It makes it much easier to control things, and you can put more in there, and you don't have to do as much inventory management because you have more time between empty and full. And then there are other people who haven't collected as much coin, and their inventories are still rather small. So we want to look at both ends of the spectrum. And I have a bit of a confession to make, is that I'm in the big spectrum because, well, I did spend some money on the game up front, but then I also gave my phone to my son the other day, and he boosted my inventories big time. Oops. So first, let's dive into our vault and take a look at what we can hold on to. Right off the bat, in the top corner, you can see energy. That is your first vault. I have 465 energy capacity, and that's really one of the big things I say people should invest their coins in right off the bat, especially if you can at least get it up to 150. That's going to serve you really well. I like to split the game up into two sessions. I have one session where I go and collect, and I have another section where I go and use. And so when I'm out running, I go and collect everything. So I can hit ends and collect all my potion ingredients, and I can fill up my energy vault while I'm doing that, and that allows me to go to a sponsored fortress or some other place, and I can actually use everything where it's much easier. I don't have to be going back and forth constantly. One of these days I'm going to boost the energy vault up to about 600. I think that's about the butter zone for me because it gives me about 2 to 3 hours of running, so I can go out and collect all the energy and then use it all later. Next, let's look at the potions vault. Now, I don't know of a lot of people who have problems with the potions vault because you tend to use potions rather rapidly, and you just don't produce them quite as much as you do use them. Now, you can see I have boosted mine up quite a bit, and I haven't heard a lot of people complaining about this as much. So this is one of those things I say, for the energy vault, you're going to know what you use. Everyone's going to use different things. Are you the person who's in the fortress a lot? Are you the person who's grinding foundables a lot? Are you in group fortresses? Do you solo fortress? And every one of those are going to use different things. So get to know the items that you use, and this usually figures itself out. If you do find yourself running into that cap, then you know that's probably where you want to spend a few coins to bump it up. But for most people, it's not a huge issue. I'm going to skip over the ingredients vault for a minute because we're going to come back to that. That's the big one we need to talk about. For utilities, there is no cap, so you can keep adding as much in there as you want. And then we have runestones. Again, there is no cap. You can keep adding into that, and it's a really nice vault. Then we can come over here to seeds. Now, this is one that my son boosted up big time. You really don't need it that high. This is something that, unless you're really chasing after that greenhouse achievement, you really don't need to worry about this that much. I usually keep somewhere around 6 to 8 seeds that I want to plant, and the rest is water. You really don't need to collect all the seeds. Usually I'm keeping the mushrooms, and then I'll keep 1 or 2 of the easier ones. You can delete things by clicking on info, then coming down to manage. In this case, I'm just going to get rid of them all because I'm not going to plant those. I'm not going to plant those, and you can get rid of everything you need except for a few seeds and water. And that right there is usually where I keep my vault at. I have something that brews very quickly, and then I have the mushrooms that grow a long time, but that's usually where I get my mushrooms from, is I grow them at a local greenhouse. So then let's come back over to the potion ingredients vault, and this is where you're probably going to be having the most problem. Even with my son boosting my ingredients vault to well over 1,000, I still run into the cap on this. And no matter how big you make it, you're going to be running into the cap. Now, the nice thing about it is the bigger you make it, the less you have to think about it because you don't run into the cap quite as often, but you do still run into it. I'm currently chasing the 20,000 ingredients pickup achievement, and so I pick up everything on the ground, and then I come back and I delete everything, basically. And this can be really hard for people to understand. What do they need to keep? What do they need to get rid of? Basically know that Bubo Tuber Pus, you really don't need to keep much. For where I am at, basically, if anything goes over 30, 35, I go in and I delete it and bring it down to something a little more manageable. but that's because I have this crazy vault. For most of the items in here, you don't need much more than 4 or 5 in there. Unless you're going to be brewing a lot of them up front, most of them just don't require that much. But I do want to show you a tool that will really help you out and make this a lot simpler to figure out. This is the spreadsheet developed by Swamp Thing Tom, and really did a phenomenal job on this. This is really a fantastic resource for trying to figure out what do you need to keep, because everyone's a little bit different. Everyone's going to be using different amounts of potions, and everyone's going to be brewing different amounts of potions. So understanding what you need for you personally is very valuable. This chart goes through all of the information about all the different potions you can brew, all the ingredients along the list, as well as down here at the end, it also gives the total times needed for brewing and the gold costs for brewing everything in every different cauldron with and without master notes, as well as the last community day if they redo that sometime in the future as well. So the first thing we want to do is come down here into the bottom, and we want to fill out what all we have in our stock. Now you notice that these are all listed by their potion, and the reason for that is it makes it much easier to figure out what you have. If you come here into the vault, then you go over to the potion ingredients. They're all in a different order, and these orders constantly rotate around, so it's hard to go through here and quickly enter in all the information. What you can do is go down here to potions, and then go down to your recipes, and this makes it much easier. And here you can see they follow the same pattern. You have the Stimula potion, the Brewfio's Brain Elixir, the Healing potion, and then all of their ingredients in order. So you can come in here and then enter the number of how many you have. 28, and so on, all down the list. And then these numbers here will all transfer up to this yellow line so that the program knows how much you have in stock at any given time. Next, we have to make our wish list. What potions do you want to brew in the next few days? And for me, I'm going to be doing a lot of battles over the next few days, so I'm going to need 2 more wit sharpening potions. I'm going to need 6 invigoration draughts. I'm going to keep a couple dwaddle draughts because you can't buy those. And then I'm going to need a few potent stimulos and strong stimulos, and then let's throw in a couple Brewfio's Brain Elixirs. So these are the potions I want to brew over the next few days. And it comes through here and it actually goes ahead and calculates all of the items I need. And then it puts a color coding down here of red, green, and bright green, and then some yellow. And basically, if there is a green section, that means you need to keep the 8 that I have here, and I don't need any more. 28, I don't need any more, but I'm going to need 26 in order to brew all of these. But I should keep those 2 other ones because I'm going to be using those quite a bit. If there's yellow, that says find, and that means I need 38 of these. Sundrop is the one item that if you have a lot of them, keep a lot of them because you need a lot of Sundrop for many different potions. And because I only have 15 of the 38 I need, it says I need to go find 23 more. And so this might be a good chance for me to go to a greenhouse and bump them up and get my snowdrops. Now there are 3 here in bright green. We have the hermit crab shell, the powdered dragon claw, and the unicorn hair. These 3 items are things that you only get in Portkeys. So if you get them, hold on to them, do not get rid of them, keep them at all cost because they only come out in Portkeys. The other thing this will tell you is that if you have a total vault size of 200, then hey, you're over vault size. You're probably going to need to do something here. But in my case, I can bump it up to 1,000, and we're okay. It says, you're fine. You still have some space in there. So some of the other nice things down here is it gives you total time. So it has minimum time. So that's if you put in the master notes, it will take you 4.5 days. If you don't put in the master notes, it'll take you 5.5 days. And if you do want to buy this whole list, it's going to cost you 448 gold. All told, it's fairly self-explanatory, and it's a really nice chart. And this is the type of thing that you can use several times, and then you start to understand, Snowdrop, I need a lot of those all the time. And Rimblood, I need a lot of those all the time. And so there's a few things that you keep constantly, but then there's a few things where, I really only need 1 butterscotch when I'm doing the dawdle draught. So I only need to keep 3 or 4 of those because it's rare that I'm ever brewing more than that. And this will help you understand the potions that you make and the items that you need for it. And so once you start to see these numbers, it makes it far more sense. You do this a few times and it will all become very natural about what you keep and what you get rid of. So I'm going to leave a link to this spreadsheet down below, and just make sure when you get in there, go up to File and then make a copy so you can have it for yourself. And this will help you out along the way. So I hope this has helped you out. This can be one of those topics that is very confusing for people, and there's a lot of things that go into it, and everyone's going to be a little bit different, and everyone's going to have have their own methodology for how they do it. I'd love to hear your tips and tricks down below. What do you do that really helps you out? How do you organize things? What do you always keep? What do you always get rid of? Throw that information down below and we can all learn from that. So I hope you liked this video. If you did, please hit like, comment, share, subscribe, ring the bell. You know all those fun things down below. Those really do help out the channel, and thank you for that. Also, if you'd like to help out on Patreon, you can do that. I don't have any sponsors on this channel. I'd like to try and keep it just the way I am. I have turned down several sponsors already because I want to keep this channel clean and clear and just for you, the viewers. So thank you for helping out at that. I think that's about it for now. Until next time, have a magical day. I really need to manage my inventory of chocolate frogs because, yeah, they're getting out of hand. So what do we have today? And today we have another Hinges of Woodcraft. If you'd like to get this one, come see me at FanFest. I'll be giving them out.